I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? Oh my gosh, today we have a subject that I have been waiting to do with this young lady that's so cool. She is so knowledgeable. We're going to be talking about health insurance and health field. We're going to try to cover as much as possible, and I have Kat here to help me. Welcome to the show, girlfriend. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm happy to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know. I love it. I miss you.
I miss you too. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to hang out. Okay, so stop. All right. Anyway, so let's get into this. Tell everybody about yourself and your role in the health industry.
Yes. So everybody, I am Kat Schlothauer. I am a licensed health insurance agent. I've been doing this for about 5.5 years. I love what I do. My real job and mission is to get out there and educate people about health insurance, but also ways to stack money in your bank with utilizing health insurance as a tool. How do we do that? Well, I educate you about the medical system. I educate you about your health, and I always lead the conversation about health, because that's how I'm able to help you shop for the best plan. That way you are able to keep more money in your bank. Yep.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. We were talking about before, not just the health insurance, but also the ways to keep your healthy lifestyle. So, like instead of, depending on the medicine, depending on your doctor, depending on this, but also doing something yourself to keep yourself out of the health situation way, I would say. We were talking about diabetes and eating correctly and all that stuff, and how it would help your bill and your insurance rates. Is that still applicable in 2023?
Yes, absolutely. To cover that a little bit more, most people are not educated that medications are going to cost what they're going to cost until you sign up at the pharmacy, right? And by then, you're in the wrong policy per se, or you're not exactly sure what plan to pick because you weren't educated more about your doctor's process, right? So we're not educated enough on the doctor's process as far as what the next 3 months, 6 months to a year of what this will look like when you have a health condition that's very expensive. Type 1, type 2 diabetes, national average, to maintain a health condition is over $8,000 a year, between doctor's visits, labs, and medications. And, when you take a look at, and you have the mindset of health is wealth, you need to explore outside of the normal realm of the doctor's process, because we have the ability to control our health. We have the ability to really get out there and, give a tip to a friend who might need to hear it. Hey, I see that you're eating a box of donuts. Why don't you try, a sugar-free, or why don't you try this to appetite your sweet tooth, right? So, even just, ping pong effect off of friends and family. But question is, why are we not accepting that? Why are we just accepting that poor health is okay? And the consequences we pay later is high insurance rates, high deductible plans, policies that don't make sense on the co-insurance level. And we're not receiving what we thought we were getting, when we go through this process.
It's hard. There's so many plans out there. There's a plan for this, and there's a plan for that, and then there's a plan for that and this, and then there's a plan for that over there. So what can a person do? I know that everybody has different situations. So you might have type 1 diabetes, you're born with it. Type 2, it's usually diet and exercise, the lack thereof. Okay. I'm just going to say it because that's, I was headed toward that direction. And I think a lot of people are and just don't know it. Okay. And then you have cancer, and then you have a healthy person who all of a sudden just has a spout of unlucky health issues. What do you do? How do you choose a basic policy for yourself? What do you look for?
So typically in a health plan, when you are looking at trying to shop for the best options, you have to look at more than one thing. You got to look at the network of the plan, because most of the time when you're looking at networks, when it comes to a health insurance plan, it tells you how you can utilize your policy, flexibility, doctor's utilization from state line coverage if you travel. And then you have to take a look at, do I want a plan that's going to have low copays with a low deductible? Because to manage these higher health or chronic health conditions, you would need a low deductible with low copay policies, to pick up the tab and to have adequate co-insurances where the health insurance company is spending more and you're spending what you need to spend towards your deductible. And it's manageable on the copay and deductible side, because when you look at policies that are higher than a $2,000 deductible and above, well, then now you start to really look at, okay, do I have this amount of money in the bank? Because if you don't, now we're looking at an expensive policy here, because all you're chasing is the premium. The premium of the plan and how it's priced, well, there's two factors for it. Either it's based on your income, and not everybody is low income. Some people are high income. Some people are next level income, right? And the policies that you're going to look at as a result of chronic health are pretty pricey. The average 50-year-old right now with a low deductible plan, you're looking at $1,200 and above, depending on the state that you live in, right? Just to get medical care coverage adequately done on a health insurance plan, right? Because the medical system and pharmacy coverage is expensive. Let's be real. It's really expensive. Insulin pens, depending on how many boxes you need, you're going to be looking at $2,000 to $3,000 just to manage it. You need a plan like that.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. But people, a lot of people don't have 1,200. So we're looking at people who are disabled. We're looking at people who may not have that job. They're working at Walmart, you know what I mean? And that's all they make a month. How are they doing that?
Well, some people are in employer plans, but again, with an employer plan, yes, the employer is going to, do their contribution, sponsor the person's health insurance plan to a certain percentage, but the employer is picking out those plans. So some of the plans you may look at are still going to be high deductible plans. And if you don't know what you're looking at and you don't understand what you're looking at, even though the employer is subsidizing your policy, you're still out of pocket a heck ton out of the bank every year. And there's not enough level of education, even in HR departments, that are educating people how to select the right plan. And when they get into it, because when you get into a health insurance plan with a employer, you're locked in for 12 months. So think about that. 12 months, you're locked into a plan you can't get out of because you were not educated about the policy and about your health. And that right there is lack thereof education, is why more people have medical debt than what they ever thought before. Okay. Because they're not being educated on their health properly. They're not being educated on health insurance plans and policies appropriately.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so so on this front, what should people do before they pin their name on that dotted line?
Well, they have to think about their health, and they have to think about it is how many times per year they go into the doctor outside of women's exam and annual gentleman's exam, right? Are you going to the specialist a couple times a year? Are you going and seeing the lab facility a couple times a year? How many times are you going to urgent care? If you've had to reflect, how many times per year do you go to ER? And that right there is going to set the toe for what you need to look at with inside of a health plan. Copay versus no copay, a low deductible plan. If somebody never ever went to the doctor, well, then a high deductible plan could be beneficial. What about HSAs? That also can help, but HSAs only work for healthy people as an investment tool year after year, to stack smart cash. So for the everyday person that might have a chronic health condition, you really have to meet with your doctor, have those tough, hard conversations with your doctor and say, listen, what is my process here? What can I do to get better? What can I do to not miss any more time from work? And, go about it that way. But typically plans that are going to be based on income are going to work well, But even with the federal government subsidizing someone's premiums, you know, on that front, you still have pretty pricey plans when you actually get into the deductibles and copays of these policies. The policies that are offered on the healthcare exchanges are mostly high deductible, high copays, and limited network plans, meaning that the insurance companies are putting HMOs and EPO network type of style of policies out there for people because that's what's going to limit the spending of the insured. Think about it. If they're limiting your spending because they know you're going to go out of network and they know you're not going to check, that's one way they're not paying your bill. The second thing is, you know, again, they're guaranteed issue policies. So they're going to find out ways on how to defer costs back to the insured. And that's how they're doing it, upping the deductibles, upping the copays. And that's how they're doing it on the front, on the insurance side, that way. So on one avenue, you have help on sponsorship for premium, but really, when you get into the plans, unless you do a gold plan or a platinum plan and you have a higher risk condition, you're still paying pretty hefty on that amount because not all plans, not all people fall into the same income brackets too. It's a scale on that.
That's crazy. So
Yeah.
people should go to someone like you and go for a plan that's not necessarily in the network. Now, let me ask you, I mean, in the normal, like, you know, on the Obamacare or whatever they call it, right? Okay, so, but a lot of people are scared to do that. First of all, open enrollment just finished, okay? So you can't really do that, but they don't tell you that open enrollment is finished, but you can still get your plan and then have it go into effect in February or March. You don't, it's not like as if you can't do it. It's just that you're going to be stuck in this plan until the next viable month, basically.
Right.
So
unless you have a life-changing event, right? So life-changing events also come into where people are changing careers, people are getting married, people are having babies, you know, things like that.
Jobs.
Right. On the life-changing event side, you know, that also helps, you know, with people that fall into the in-between. But people that are healthy, you know, they can get opportunities 365 days a year. You know, they don't have to wait for a healthcare exchange, you know. Right. They can, there's a little bit more options outside of that on the private health plan side where it's based on health to qualify. But think about it. If it's based on health to qualify, then your rates are going to be based on that health pool, which means there's going to be better plan opportunities because you're not going to be in the same health pool dealing with the same type of plans as somebody else who's higher risk.
Okay, so let me ask. Oh, wait. You got to stop. Hold on a second. I got one thing at a time. We got to stop right there. So you're telling me no matter the age, just your health.
Just yeah, as long as they're under the age of 65, because that's Medicare, and they're over the age of 18, you know, they can get a policy based on their health 365 days a year, providing they qualify.
Do they get the subsidy from the government or is that private?
Private insurance doesn't work on subsidies because that's for lower income. So you have two pools, you know, income-based, health-based plans. So health-based plans are going to be really attractive on rate for those that don't qualify for subsidies because they make too much money. You know, they value their health. They're not going to the doctor's office. They're next leveling and hustling in their business because they don't have a health condition to worry about or a chronic health condition to worry about. And see, everybody else that falls under that is going to be on income based because when you think about it, are you spending that much time in your business if you're an entrepreneur, but you're constantly at the doctor's office? So you're going to fall, you're going to lose money. You're going to fall in that category. And that's where the federal government will kick in and help that way.
Okay.
Yep.
But can people who actually qualify for the subsidy but don't want to be on the subsidy because they can find a better plan over here and it may not be so much money a month, but at least it's better quality and they don't have as a higher deductible, they don't have a high you know, medical bill when they go to the emergency room, the ER, you know, this is lower for them. I mean, throwing out a number, I don't know, $100 a month in comparison to every time they go to the doctor, it's $900. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
is that an option for people?
Yes, as long as they feel that the monthly premium will work well with their budget, because there's always going to be somebody that's touching the line on the income, right? They're right there up, you know, but here's the thing where people get caught is in the subsidy arena. They want to look at your gross income before taxes, right? And if you're a business owner and you have business deductions, they're going to look at that as well. They want to look at all of that, for qualification. They even look at your credit, for verification to see, who you are. But
Mhm.
again, it's a loan. So what happens when you make too much money? The subsidies go away. You have to pay federal government back at the end of the year on your taxes. See,
Right, for
health-based,
that
you don't
particular
have to worry
year.
about that. Right.
Right. For that particular year. A lot of
Yeah.
people get scared because they're like, oh, it's for every year before that. It's like, no, it's just that particular year. So, but if you come under, let's say that, you come under the estimate, because it's a guesstimation, basically. They say, well, how much you think you're going to make this year? Well, daggone it, I don't know. You know, I'm freaking self-employed. This month I could be on the top of the world, and next month I could be under it. I mean, it's like, okay, I don't know. So what if you shoot for this, goal, and you don't make the goal? You don't make it. What happens then?
You don't pay anything back.
There you go.
You don't pay anything back. But then the cycle comes into of, especially for people that put themselves in that box year after year, you got to ask yourself, am I making the minimal income for the sake of health insurance? And what does that do for my family? What does that do for me? What does that do for my lifestyle? You got to think about that. Is it worth
Yeah.
rolling the dice with your income and you're in this box that you can't get out of because year after year you're going to be penalized?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You kind
that's
of got to
so
get out of that. That's the
so
cycle
I
that.
help people with that, because there have been people that have had to pay a lot of the money back. And I'm not talking hundreds, I'm talking thousands on top of what they already owe for taxes because no
Right.
one educated them the catch 22 on how subsidies work when you're rolling the dice with the federal government.
That's right. And I want to warn people too, if you're going to be buying and purchasing a home and you can't be deducting a lot of write-offs for that year, you're going to have to pay some of that money back. Because when I bought my house, I couldn't write off certain things that year. And so I had to leave the income there. And that's when they got me for the actual subsidy. So you got to watch out. You make sure that you have everything. You got this planned out. Make sure you're ready for that, because, the moment that you purchase something that's big like that, they're going to look at that and they're going to be like, well, you could afford that. You're paying this back. So I ended up paying like 3,000 back. It wasn't too bad, but it was still, I had to pay 3,000 plus what I owed on my taxes. So it was a good chunk of money that year. But
Wow.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
it was a
See,
good chunk of money.
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But
and you don't want to have to pay, because May comes, then you get
yeah,
an email, then you have to make a payment plan. And
thank goodness I had it. I had it. I was ready for it. So again, if you're making these purchases, just remember that you have to leave that money there. You can't be writing that off. That's it. It's done. You have to pay it back. You know.
absolutely.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of different health laws coming into effect for 2023. And then last year, Roe versus Wade gets overturned. And now we have more health issues, with the health issues that we didn't have before because we were able to do certain things. Now we can't do these things. I wanted to talk about that. And I know that's a little controversial, but it's still part of the healthcare system. It's still part of the insurance, and it's boosting our insurance rates up as well.
Right. Right. So
That's crazy.
it is very crazy, what's going on. The health based on the states that overturned the law, because it is based on the state, the
Right.
health plans have to change with state law. As we know, health insurance is regulated, and the rates and the networks and the type of plans that are decided on the public healthcare exchange for different states. Now, the states that have their own state exchange, like New York, Maryland, Nevada, for example, those states operate on the same caliber. It's just a different way on how they process, the public market for insurance. But The plans have to change as long as, with the state law accordance, and medically necessary is a huge gray area in these health plans now. Huge gray area. Just like with emergency care coverage for a second, we look at a health plan and it says, if you have an emergency, ER visit, if you have emergency transportation, you got to look at the limitations section on the health plan box, right? And you got to look at those limitations, right? It's the same thing. There's this gray area of a medically necessary emergency situation, same thing as medically necessary termination of pregnancy, right? And there's a whole new conversation you have to have with the insurance company now to even find out, based on your situation, based on the state law that determines your situation, whether or not it's covered or not, and
That
whether or
is
not
crazy.
you have to talk to your doctor. Yeah.
It's just, medicine is hard enough to afford. I'm sorry, insulin. And then you have, of course, a lot of women who cannot get pregnant and they have the IUD. Well, guess what? A lot of states have banned, the IUD, birth control. They banned it. Like, you can't get it. And these women can die without it. Like, I'm flabbergasted at the fact that they're taking things away that would actually, if they didn't have it, would kill them. It just doesn't, it baffles me. So the health insurance and all the other stuff that's going on, it's just, and we're all pulled together. Am I right? Am I wrong about this? We're all pulled together. So a healthy person that has qualified for insurance on the marketplace is pulled together with someone that has the most detrimental, they're almost on their deathbed, and you're paying insurance just like they are on the same plan.
Question is, do you want to pay the same rate as somebody else, right? So like years ago with auto insurance, some states are a little bit higher based on, the driving in those states, like Maryland, for example, because it's so close to DC, very high risk state, right? One would say. But then you look at, Michigan, for example, and then you look at Nevada, and it's totally two different, avenues there for driving. But somebody based on the year, make, and model and driving record of their vehicle is going to qualify differently compared to the person who has a DUI, who has tickets, and who gets in a lot of car accidents. The difference is, when it comes to underwriting for auto insurance, the federal government is not involved. It's a topic they don't even want to cover. And yet this, with health insurance, they've put everybody in one pool. And so if you're healthy, you're going to pay the same rate. If you're a gentleman, you're going to pay for prenatal care benefits, whether you like it or not, because that's what's built into these plans. And so private insurance is also a way to separate people out of certain health pools, putting them in plans that will benefit them even based on gender. Like, think about it. I mean, if you're 50 years old, gentlemen, do you really want to pay for maternity benefits? Do you want to pay for prenatal care?
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That is absolutely crazy. Why would they?
Right. But the person that
they should take off though. I mean, literally, if you're paying for maternal care, put a pillow in your stomach. I'm not trying to tell you to do this, but put a pillow in your stomach, walk in the office and see if you can get off of maternity. Okay. You're paying for it. Okay. I'm paying for it. I need 6 weeks.
But people don't know.
But I mean, I'm making fun of it because literally I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm saying is, if that's the case, you should get 6 weeks off. If you're paying for it, come on. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are tucked into these plans that just people are just not aware with. Like if you have no children under the age of 12, your children are in college, or maybe you have children that are in middle school. Why do you want to pay for vision and dental plans for pediatrics for children under the age of 12? Because that's also what's built into these health plans, instead of a standalone dental or vision plan for these kids to get adequate dental care and adequate vision care. They built it into the health plans because of the lower income families who couldn't afford vision and dental insurance, for them to be able to obtain those benefits. See, That's what
Oh,
most people don't look at, is all of what's built into this plan. And you think, okay, well, do I need all of this? Do I have all of this going on? And does all of this benefit me and my lifestyle? Most times, no, it doesn't, depending on gender and age group and,
that is
what your lifestyle is.
I'm upset. I'm upset. I'm upset to even think, I went to my home insurance company and I said, I live in South Florida. Why am I paying for ice and snow? It's already in there. You can't take it out. It's built into the plan and you can't not pay for it because it's just one big piece. It's just like that. Health insurance is just like that. If you're a guy and you're paying for maternity leave, why are you paying for maternity leave? For who? Okay, for who are you paying? Who is this money going to? I want to know where that portion of my money is going to for someone else's maternity leave. Because if that's the case, I want those 6 weeks. I'm just saying. I would be upset. I would be like, look, I'm taking a vacation. I think I have a stomach ache. 6 weeks.
I mean,
I'm
you're
just,
paying for it.
you're paying for it. But it's just like, it's just, okay. So a private company is better if you can afford it. The biggest thing that I'm looking at is the changes that happened last year that are now in effect this year, especially I'm going to go there. And I know that, like I said before, you have the abortion thing, and I'm neither for nor against. What I am is every individual has a right to declare whatever they want to declare over their lives, and they have to live with it. That's up to them what they want to do. But when you have a 10-year-old little girl that gets raped and has to have an abortion because it would kill her to have a baby, but yet the actual state says no, she has to have that baby because the insurance won't cover it, that's a problem.
The insurance companies, they're kind of like, and I'm not defending them, I'm just saying, like, from an insurance agent standpoint, the insurance companies have to follow what state law is. So if the governor is saying that this is what needs to happen, the plans have to reflect that, and that's who determines rates, networks, and coverage, of what the carriers can do every single year for raising rates, deductibles, copays. It goes through the insurance commissioner, and it also goes through the governor. So think about that, so an insurance company is going to say no because they have to, because that's the way the law is. So then what do you have to do? You got to fly to another state and then get your medical care taken care of that way. Question is, how do you have that conversation, with another doctor that's in another state who can help you for medically necessary and can
For a
help you
10-year-old.
for a 10-year-old.
For a 10-year-old. For a 10,
Yeah.
10. I just, whew, it saddened me to see that we've come to this moment where, I understand there was another lady that the insurance company turned her down. Her baby was dead. No heartbeat, but she was past the point where, I think it was 16 or 12 weeks or whatever she was past. So the baby died, but after the time was up for her to get the abortion, and the baby was dead in her stomach. She was carrying a dead baby. They told her she had to carry it to term. Do you know how psychologically damaging that is? So she flew somewhere else to terminate a non-viable pregnancy. Okay. And she wanted the baby. She didn't want the baby to die. Come on. She wanted her baby, but the baby was gone. So what do you do about that? We need to regulate where there's exceptions, and there aren't any. This is the moment where it makes me upset, because yes, okay, we have insurance there to help people out, but it's supposed to help people out. So in a real world sense that's supposed to help the people, we're not doing that. So who's responsible, who's negligent, and who should be charged with negligence if this 10-year-old had to have this baby and she died on the table? Who? You see where I'm
Right.
coming from?
Oh,
Because the
absolutely.
parents are going to say somebody, because they couldn't afford to send her somewhere, and thank the Most High they could. But what if they couldn't? Maybe they were that strapped for money and they couldn't. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Who's responsible? Because ultimately, as a parent, I'm charged. Somebody's gonna get it. Somebody is responsible for this.
And it has to be thrown back to the state legislature, because that's how the health insurance plans unfortunately have to be ran. I mean, again, it's regulated.
Right.
So like, policies that, and I looked at a couple policies before and after. So it's just interesting to see how, as the map changes on how the laws in those states are now changing, I not only have to be brushed up on national, but I also have to be, brushed up on each and every state that of somebody that I talk to. And I always have to have that question with them. Listen, in the event, and it's very tough, but in the event that you became pregnant and this was a situation, here's how your state's now going to work. And because of that, here's now what you have to plan for in the bank, because your health plan, no matter which one I pick out for you, in the event of, is not going to cover it. So now
Right.
I'm having to work with people on more of the financial avenue of it. Is how much cash do you actually need to stack in the bank? And if you don't, can you qualify for a loan if it does? Because at
Wow.
some point, you know, we can take a look at health as a reason, but outside of health, that's what people have to kind of think about, unless they move to a different state, right? And see, if they move to a different state, then they can look at plans in a different state, because it's a different market. And then we can, take a look that if you're pregnant section in the health plan, if, what's covered, what's typically not covered. And an abortion is always right there as typically not covered. But there's an exclusion for medically necessary in the states that still operate, for those to be able to get help.
Right.
But that comes down to the state legislature. And, companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, and Cigna and Aetna, for example, they have to follow what state law is.
Yeah,
Even
they
though
have
it's
to.
federal government regulated, they still have to follow state law.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
And
sad.
you were saying that you now have to be versed not only in your own state, but in other states, because you got people now crossing over the border to get what they need to get. That little girl that crossed over the border, like that lady that was carrying that dead baby and didn't want to carry that dead baby. That baby, I think she was like 5 or 6 months pregnant. She would have had to carry that baby for another 3 to 4 months, dead. Who knows what kind of health problems that would have caused her if that baby would have ruptured inside of her, or a problem would have happened. I mean, that is just, and okay, I get it. They have to, but we need, as people who love other people, as people who are supposed to be responsible for caring for your people that you're over. If you're a governor, if you're supposed to figure these things out and try to get these things in there as soon as possible for these situations, because there are situations where there's exceptions. There's got to be. It just can't be everybody eats salad. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just the way it is. But then you
Right.
got people who are on blood thinners that can't eat salad.
Imagine that, Yeah, they can't, because of the dressing style and salt. And that's another thing too, is what I'm also educating people on is get your labs done.
That's right.
Because some states are set up different,
Oh
going back to
no.
the topic, where,
Come on.
you have a couple of weeks, right? You have enough in those week period where you can get blood work done and you can know
Right.
biologically if your child's going to have health problems or not, or what the situation is going to be. And I feel like a lot of people are scared to get those labs done because they don't want to face that there could be a potential downside to being pregnant, and what that can do for women's health. Because, with us women, we're the ones having the baby, and our lives, and which more than one person doesn't want to talk about it, is, there are women that are dying due to childbirth.
Yeah, they are. There are. And a lot of times you don't know before 16 weeks. You don't.
You don't.
It's perfectly fine. Your pregnancy is going perfect. You get to like month 6, it's like and then what do you do?
Exactly. And by then, in a lot of these states, it's too late.
Way too late.
Because again, you have to get the labs before you're pregnant, you got to get labs during pregnancy, but right at the time when it starts to determine whether you're high risk, low risk, when that change might happen, in a lot of these states, it's way, way too late. Yeah. Whether you have a lab report done or not.
And the scary part for me is that women go back to the way they were doing this before abortion was legal. And that is probably happening now, but nobody knows about it.
And what they're putting their emotionally through. And then that covers mental health, right? And right now, what we're seeing current in news is, a lot of mental health doctors, from psychiatrists and therapists, they're cutting contracts with insurance companies because of money. They have to take on more patients to make up for it, because insurance companies, if they're contracted with, are, going to reduce their rates or whatever the case is, depending on the plan that the person, or the carrier, with those contracts. And what happened to going to the focus of the person versus the dollar in a doctor's pocket? But see, this is how the system is, right? It's about the dollars. So, so a lot of people who need mental health, to see the right doctor, what I'm having to educate them in is little by little, like Illinois right now. They're one of the states right now that's pretty hot on the topic of where a lot of doctors are cutting contracts with insurance companies. And so,
man, I tell you,
so now so now I'm having to help people strategize out of the box. What can you do, to still keep you leveled in your mental health while you try to see a doctor that you may have to pay for out of pocket. Right. So does that mean vitamin B in your diet, because that's the supplement that's good for, positive vibes? Maybe you have to take a nature walk, or maybe you have a high risk job and you're not able to go to the gym as much, but you can journal, right? Different things like that are cost effective and friendly for people, and then when they're ready, there's other programs available outside of insurance that people can look to for help for mental health. But that is a subsequence of what's happening with Roe versus Wade. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you got a lot. Okay. So getting off abortion and going on to mental health, you got so many people that have these mental health issues, especially after COVID. Because, we were all crammed in the homes. I mean, we were having, like, what is that, cabin fever? I mean, I was going crazy. I mean, you can't go anywhere. You can't go out. You can't see your friends. You can't see your family. And all of a sudden now you can. And then they're telling you that there's a new variant. And then they're telling you, like, I had a family member of mine living in a different country, and they made them get the boosters. Now she has cancer. But she didn't have cancer. The boosters gave her cancer. This is what the doctors say. Now, this is a different country, so they're doing a different version of whatever they're doing. It's a different, not what we have in the United States. But she's so sensitive, and my family's so sensitive to medications that we really can't take medicine. So if in my family, if we smoke, we get cancer. If you do sugar, you get diabetes. Literally, my family is just so sensitive to it. So overtaking anything will give you whatever in my family. So, but we have to do the vitamins and the herbs and stuff. That works just fine. If we get a headache, it's a half of an Advil, not a full one. Okay, because then you feel weird and you get sick.
Right.
So, it's like, okay, certain people have certain things in their family line and their genetics, and you have to account for that. Again, you can't say everybody eats salad. Everybody, I don't care. Here's salad. This is your first meal every day. You can't do that. Or, everybody eat beef. You can't do that either.
Right.
So
this is what I always say. to people is, listen, we are all created beautifully and equal, but our health, because we were given the right of choice, our health is different from the person next to you, the person you meet
Exactly.
at the grocery store, the people that, pick you up on Uber, right? Therefore, why is our health being treated so cookie cutter when we're not cookie cutter based on our health, right? So I like to help people with an out of the box approach, even when it comes to insurance, because
That's wonderful.
knowing that your health isn't cookie cutter, there is a plan for you, that can help you with it. It's just a matter of assessment and knowing what you want, what you don't want, what your health is, what your health is not. And what can I do? I mean, I also refer clients to doctors for second opinions, because I think a second opinion is worth an avenue to finding out the facts.
Right.
Because once you sign the commitment of a prescription at the pharmacist, it's yours. It's yours, right? And I feel like there's too many people saying yes because it's a doctor in a white coat versus people saying, no, let me think about it. Let me check, let me research, and let me see if this is for me. And let me get a second opinion, because too many people are seeing that or afraid of a second opinion. Because what if that second opinion is game changer and really the first doctor who attempted to diagnose you is actually wrong, right? And that does happen more so than what you think.
It does. It happens more than what, it happened to me. It definitely happened to me more than what, if I would have gone with what that doctor told me, I would have been on 2 different medications that I don't need.
Right.
Right. So yeah, you got to,
no matter the price. Right.
Yeah, you have to get a second opinion. That is your right to actually say, wait a minute, wait, I know I don't have that. I know that that's not what it is. Let me get a different opinion. If it is, then okay, I'm sorry, but let me go to the second doctor. But then you have to think about your insurance. Will it cover it?
Right. And a lot of policies will.
Yeah.
Question is, if you're in a limited network plan, like an HMO, for example, well, then that means you got to go back to square one. You got to get a referral to then see the second opinion. Question is, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
But if it's a way to save you money because you're going to be diagnosed properly, maybe the second time versus the first time, I think it's worth a call.
Right.
But if you're on a PPO plan where you don't have referrals, well, then utilize it. Utilize your right to get a second opinion. And you might discover that through the second doctor, if it's right, it's right. At least you discovered it. But what if the next doctor's like, you know what? I see that this doctor pulled this lab, but didn't pull this. I'm going to pull these and check this out because maybe this is the root of what's really going on.
Right.
But medications, right? You have different tiers of medications, but nobody is researching how much these cost. And then you jump and then you think you get to pharmacy, oh my, and you're expecting $25, but really the bill's $600. No, right? And who's holding the doctor accountable? When you look at GoodRx, for example, you can download it on your phone. It's super cool. And what happens is this magic app, you can put in the prescription and the dose. It's right there at the doctor, and you can price shop, read the side effects before you say yes. Because what if those side effects are going to create another health condition with another medication? And then it's just this endless cycle.
Yep. Next thing you know, you're on 10 medications for the one thing that you have problems with, that now you have 10 problems.
But yet the doctor is like, well, this is what I'm going to give you for this and this and this and this and this. And you're thinking, okay, is the doctor getting paid? Because I feel like I'm being sold. Let's just hit that.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, doctors are salesmen. Now they own you. A lot of these health, not all, but a lot of health problems can be resolved with exercise, diet, maybe some supplements and things like that. Maybe a lifestyle change. A nutritionist should come into play. And I have a nutritionist on my insurance plan, but some people don't. I mean, the ultimate thing is, what should people do ultimately, even now, today, Open enrollment is done, but still, let's just look at today. Who forget open enrollment? Let's talk health. Should they go to someone like you and talk about the plans and see what they have and see what fits them and see what's best for them for now into the future?
Yes. And the reason is because I can always give like an education piece and really go over their plan with them. Right. So, short story happened the other day. Had a conversation with a gentleman in Georgia, and he has been saying, I don't like the way this Anthem Blue Cross plan is paying for stuff. And I said, let's talk about it. And he's like, I said, what did you feel that was the most out of your pocket? He said labs. I went over his benefits with him. I said, did you know that if you utilize this lab work company that's partnered with Blue Cross, Anthem to be exact, versus your doctor processing labs at a hospital where they make more money off of those labs, less than is also patient responsibility. You're going to save more money with a lab company that's contracted with the insurance company on the same plan versus your doctor's process for your lab work that's going to cost you more money. It was worth a conversation, because now he's like, okay, I'm like, you're on a great plan. You just don't know how to utilize it for your health.
Wow.
I give tips about that. No matter the policy that people are on, there's an angle that I can look at and I can say, okay, well, here's where your focus points are. Let's break down what those focus points are. Now let's offer solutions, not saying that your doctor's process is wrong. Let's just find a different avenue with you still getting what you need, but it's being handled out of the box versus in your doctor's wheelhouse. That's going to cost you more money. I mean, radiology, that's really expensive. You go to a hospital to get an MRI done. Or a breast MRI, right? Or, a diagnostic MRI, for example, for us women. Well, you wonder why you have a huge bill, because it's done at a hospital versus done at a radiology clinic, for example. It pays better, that you're going to get better service. You're not going to get treated like a number, but you still get what you need. You're still getting the service performed. You're just out of the box, a different avenue, and utilizing, a radiology facility and clinic, and you're going about it that way as a way to save money, but still maximizing your plan, still getting what you need. Those kind of things I like to give advice about too. It's worth a discussion. If I can't help you outside of your plan,
Right.
with switching policies,
Right. I mean, there's some things that we can resolve, and then there's some things that are just going to have to remain the same, like pregnancy, and things like that. Problems with pregnancy after the certain cutoff day or week, or if you're in a state or a city that doesn't allow it, you do have to go somewhere else that does.
You do.
Is that possible? How can you are going to have to pay for that abortion, or do you go to an abortion clinic? How does that work today?
So here's one thing that you have to pay attention to. And I started doing this as of recently, honestly, because some health insurance companies you're going to see in a specific demographic side of the state, for example, or country, like you'll see a health insurance carrier on the western side of a state, but yet you go to the east, you're out of network, right? But yet you look at that same carrier and now you're able to pull a coverage map on the other states that they're in. And as long as they're in another state that's off the state exchange, if you have a marketplace plan versus employer, well, now you have more options to look at. But you then has the question of, okay, do I need a referral, right? And if you are on an HMO, because the doctor you need to see is a specialist, now how do you have the conversation to get the referral done, right? That's the next question. How do you have the conversation with the doctor that's in that? Yes, there's a certain way of doing it, because your doctor can get in trouble.
Oh,
your doctor can get.
How is that done?
So what I always like to give advice about is say, listen, hey, if I were to future tense, if this were to happen to me, would you be able to write a referral for me to see a doctor out of the state, for me to get help? my plan will cover it if I go to this state, this state, this state. What does that look like? How would that look like for me? Just rough edges. You're not committing that this is going on, but you're future tense having this conversation and knowing what it is, right?
Right.
And then you're able to then call the insurance company and say, listen, I understand that currently you're also in this state, and this state. If I had this situation and I was covered in any of these 3 other states that could help me for this situation, how would it be covered? And what would be my next steps? Because if it's medically necessary, would I need a referral? Would I not need a referral? If it's not medically necessary and it's an emergency situation where I'm miscarrying, right? Because that happens.
Yeah,
What
because
does
they can't
that
do
look
nothing
like?
for that either.
Right. What does that look like for me on the insurance side? If this were to happen, right? And the insurance company has no choice but to tell you the facts, because, no matter the state, they can look that up and say, like if it's Better Health, for example, and they're in Florida, which they're also in Georgia, but they're also in, South Carolina, for example, you can pull those 3 states and say, okay, and look at your options, and Better will tell you what the facts are. They have to. And then your doctor, you have to get really clear with your doctor and say, listen, if this were to happen and my plan requires a referral, how would we go about this? If I come across this situation, and would the doctor not do the referral? And if the doctor can't do the referral, then you have to pay for it out of pocket, and you have to invest money into it. That's the only way. It's the only way.
And a woman who is having a miscarriage, if they can't do, a lot of times they won't do anything. They can't do anything.
I mean, there are some miscarriages that require medical assistance. They do in a hospital, in an ER situation, like it's go time. It's treated the same caliber as an injury or shock trauma. Sometimes, like, you get rushed in, it's treated almost the same way, just like if you're delivering a brand new baby. Babies come when they're going to come, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with a miscarriage. A miscarriage is going to happen when it's going to happen. You can't predict it. It just does, right? And sometimes with not enough medical care, even an urgent care can't help you. Did you know that urgent cares, if you went to an urgent care, they have to send you to ER because you're pregnant, even though they're faster with treating you, right? And so there's some stipula on that. Why is that? Why can't we go to an urgent care to get help? Why does it have to be a hospital where it's documented and this is a situation that's happening, where it's more money out of pocket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets tricky.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's my concern. My biggest concern is, okay, so some of these women will find these doctors that aren't really doctors to actually perform the procedure. And then we have more women that are dying unnecessarily. And that was really why Roe versus Wade was put into effect in the first place. One of the reasons, at least, because of all of the women getting abortions with coat hangers and things like that. I'm just going to go there.
Yeah.
We need to be aware that this is not going to stop. Women are not going to stop having abortions just because the insurance companies won't cover it. Just because the state says, no, you can't. They don't care. They don't care. They're going to do it. So we need to make sure that we are taking care of the people that we're over. Loving and caring for people has nothing to do with, oh, the insurance doesn't cover it.
Right.
It's just loving and caring for people. Insurance is there to love and care for the person, to ensure them that they will be as much cared for and okay as possible when they walk in the door for a medically needed procedure.
Correct.
And that's not happening. And it's not happening for cancer. And it's not happening for diabetes. It's not happening for pregnancy emergencies. It's not happening because we're all being grouped into one big lump sum of stupidness that doesn't fit everybody.
Right.
And that's the
Right.
problem.
Yeah. That's the problem at the source. And, we're going to pay for it some way. Right.
Yeah.
So I always say, if you want lower out-of-pocket cost, for medical care, and you're on a high premium plan, well, what is it going to take for you to become low risk? And what are these conversations that you need to have with your doctor to get real? Right. Because when you look at high price plans, because that's what's necessary, because the medical care is really expensive. Otherwise, if we didn't have medical care as pricey as it was, which we are the highest in the entire world, okay? In the entire world, we have the highest cost for medical care, highest cost. And yet we have some of the best doctors overseas than what we have over here.
Oh yeah, they're going to leave. They're leaving.
The
They're
best
leaving.
doctors
They're
are
leaving.
over
They're
there.
not staying here. Why would they stay here? Why would they stay here? Why?
Yeah.
They have the best food over there. They banned all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have toxic food.
All toxic food over here. Okay. If you have the decision to make, like you said, you have to become low risk. You have absolutely no choice but to try to become as low risk as possible. If any, even if you have something, try to make it lower. I mean, go for the natural foods, go for the vitamins, go for the exercise, walk your dog an extra freaking block, park far away to walk to the road. I mean, do certain things to make yourself lower risk. Like you said, will that help you in the insurance at the end though?
So think about it like this, right? And I did a reel on this because it's all linked, right? So auto insurance, the more drivers become safe, the more they stop wrecking, and they actually, like you said, are conscious. And, sometimes we get brain fog because of sleep, no sleep, right? But even that's unsafe, right? But if on that perspective, what happens? Auto insurance companies stop, there's not as much claims coming through. So what do? Lower the rates. Health insurance. If the medical system isn't booming business and pharma's not booming business because people are getting healthy, people are thinking outside of the box for medical care, supplements, vitamins, herbs, things like that, plus different doctors, that actually care, or they're seeking dietitians or nutritionists, or personal trainers, right? Because sometimes we need help. We don't want to get injured. But think about that. If the risk factors go down and we stop seeing cancer 1.5 million and we see all that drop because people are getting healthy, because people aren't getting diagnosed with cancer, people aren't getting diagnosed with diabetes, right? Then insurance companies are going to drop the rates because the medical system is going to drop their rates. Think about it. If we stop going to the doctors go out of business. If we stop going to the dentist goes out of business, right? So, and tooth health is just as important. But with that being said, insurance companies will drop their rates, and then we'll see rates back down to normal, and then we'll see different health plans, and then we'll see different opportunities for, flexible networks again. We'll see deductibles that aren't crazy and co-insurance that just doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm seeing 75-25 co-insurance plans these days. That's weird. But with all that, you're going to see different opportunities sprout back up because now the risk factors are going back down. People are getting healthy. People don't need medical care as much. People aren't spending money on drugs and pharmaceutical. It's a trickle, domino effect.
Wow. So I'm not saying that it's our fault. What I am saying is we need to make better choices. And if we did that, then we could get healthy. And in fact, I think that the better choice actually puts the people who and the companies who are laced their foods with toxic chemicals will be put out of business too. And we will have only healthy choices.
Or skincare products. I mean, I can share a couple different companies that are very toxic. I mean, they still test on animals, and the dermatologists are offering these same products because it's a result of, guess what? It's all geared to get you back. You have allergic reaction. Now you need a medication. Now you're going back. Now, again, you're
Oh,
spending more
Lord.
money, right? It's the
Oh,
same thing with toxic skincare
terrible.
products. It's the same thing.
It's
You
terrible.
know, people are buying. I mean, there was an article that was done about some of the higher line makeup products, that completely vegan. I mean, the only way you can get it is if you order directly from that particular site that's offering it, right? Like, let's think about, for example, like not Mac, but Jeffrey Freestar products, for example. You can only get his products through his site. That's it. But there's Amazon with different people selling those products, but they're actually not his products. They're duplicate toxic products. It's not his actual products. The logo might look real, but it's actually not his products. And people are buying them online mistakenly, seeing that it's his, but it's not. And those products you use on your eyelashes, your mascara, your lip balm, you digest that, you sprinkle it in your eyes, and guess what? Now you have what? Another medical bill, because now you need to see a doctor.
It's
Right?
crazy.
So I think if people got a little bit more education about where to go purchase correct, safe products, even for skincare, and if people were conscious, about their skin, including tooth health as well, you're going to see a difference there too. The
Yeah.
dermatologist is going to be put out of business. Ophthalmologist is going to,
Yeah. And we can do it
yeah.
little by little. It's not something that we can do all at once, but definitely something we could do little by little. I love these conversations because getting healthy is something that we need to do. A lot of people say, well, you're going to die anyway. Well, I'd rather die at 114. How old was that lady that just died? She was like 114 years old and she fell asleep and then wake up. I like that. 114 years and then fall asleep and don't wake up. Perfect.
Let
Perfect.
me,
Instead of 53 and still have come on.
right. This cute story. So my cousin is actually an ER nurse. And she was telling me about this 86-year-old man and how he has never been on medications. 86 years old, perfect health, no medications. And he never eats fast food. He always cooks a home cooked meal, or he has an assistant cook a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
And no sugar except for fruit, no medication. He only goes every single year to primary care to get his annual gentleman's care done. That's it.
That is amazing.
86 years old.
That's what we need to be vying for. And there are, okay, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to say there are candies out there that actually don't have a lot of sugar in them, that just natural sugars from either the peanut butter and then you have the dark chocolate. That's a natural sugar. They're not adding anything, any cane sugar to it. They're not putting any artificial. You're just eating. So a lot of people look at me and they say, oh, Yaya, did you make apple pie? Yes, I did. What is in it? Apples and crust. That's apple pie.
And organic cinnamon.
And organic cinnamon. That's pretty much my apple pie. So the other day, a friend came over and they were like, oh, I was like, yeah, I have apple pie in the refrigerator. They're like, I don't like it. You don't put sugar in it. I'm like, but it's so sweet. To me, it's sweet. It's apples. You cook the apples, you put it in the crust. You put it in the crust, you put it cinnamon and you eat it. That's
Well,
apple
here's another
pie.
one for you. Let's look at athletes. Here's another one for you. Tim Grover. Tim Grover mentored Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan during the days of basketball, right? And he put everybody on a sugar detox. Sugar detox. And he could tell which players were messing up the sugar detox
Because you get tired.
because of how your body reacts and what your attitude is.
Yeah.
You start to have withdrawal symptoms, right?
Yep.
Sugar detox.
Your headaches. Oh my God, the headaches. The headaches are bad. The headaches are bad. Yeah. Yeah, they're very bad. Very bad headaches. Yeah. And you get tired easy. You don't have that energy, you don't.
Right.
So, and headaches and energy are the biggest withdrawal of sugar. Definitely. And you get groggy.
So if coaches are doing that for athletes, why do we not have doctors handling the same process with us?
Come on, speak it. Tell the truth. Shame them. Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm just saying, I mean, we don't have, we don't have doctors that are, spending adequate time with people on that and telling them what they need to hear, because they're only allowed a certain amount of time, with
Right.
each patient. And if it's not preventative care that you're going in for and you need, well, then you got to book another appointment. If you need, and think about this, the way our system is ran. So if a doctor has 30 patients per day that they need to see, right? And they're given 20 minutes, 30 minutes max with that patient, how much are you really able to cover in 15, 20 minutes of an evaluation? But yet you get a bill from your insurance company that they charge the insurance company $300 for a 15-minute session, right?
Yeah.
But then you go back because you get your lab work results done, and then they call you and say, hey, I need you to come in. Well, what happened to the good old days for you telling me on the other end of the phone what my results are and giving me a consultation that way? I mean, that's what my grandfather did. That's what my mom did.
Exactly. Now I got to pay another bill.
Now I got to pay another bill. And just to get my labs assessed, and I understand time is money. Well, we get that in the professional world. But then you look at, okay, well, I go in and I get assessed for 15, 20 minutes about my labs. But here's a medication. Where's the game plan of you should look at this, this, and this in your diet. And let's see if you don't, and then we'll retest you in 60 days. Think about that.
How about the fact that they don't even tell you a lot of times that you are gonna, when you come in, you're gonna do labs. You're supposed to be fasting, right? Okay. So I wasn't told that I was doing labs. Here's my appointment. We're just general appointment. Here's just, just a checkup or whatever. I ate a piece of chocolate in the morning because I hadn't had a little piece of dark chocolate, had like a couple of grams of sugar or whatever. I go in and I'm waiting, and your sugar spikes. I was at like 103. Oh, so I get in there for the results the next time. Oh, you have pre-diabetes. Here's metformin.
No.
Okay. And then she's like, oh, and every time you come here, your blood pressure is so high. Yeah, because I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. So I go to another doctor and I'm in there and they take my blood pressure. Perfect. And I'm like, she's trying to give me metformin and a high blood pressure pill. But I go to another doctor. We talk. I'm calm. They take my blood pressure. It was like 117 over like 70 something. I go to her. It's like 140 over like 90 something. I don't like her. I don't want to be there. I don't want to walk in the building. I don't want to see them. But that's the only person in my network that's close to me.
Right? Network.
So I hate it. So every time I walk in that building, my blood pressure goes up. It's called the white coat.
Yes, it is.
Every single time.
And so many people are misdiagnosed.
Thank you. Because when I do my blood pressure here, I have a record of it. I'm like 117 over like 70 something. You know what I mean? It's like 115. And I exercise every day. I have no problems with sugar. I don't like sugar. I like natural sugar, but I don't like sugar.
Right.
So I don't eat a lot of it. You know what I mean? I may have 6 grams of sugar a day, if any. That's it.
That's impressive though.
You see, because I don't like it. But when I go there, everything goes wrong. So a lot of times people are misdiagnosed, like you said, because they're walking in a place that they don't like. They don't want to go there. They don't like the person. They don't like the every time I'm going there, I get a bad diagnosis. I got this, I got that, I got that. The moment I walk away and I go somewhere else, I ain't got any of that. What's the problem? It's the building, it's the doctor, it's the person, it's them.
And see, right there, a dentist can, because sometimes if, like, say you're having tooth work done, right? Mm-hmm. The dentist is required, if they're going to put you under, depending on the level that they're going to put you under, a dentist will check your blood pressure.
Right.
And a dentist, will say, listen, your blood pressure is a little high. I understand. So at the end of the procedure, when you're feeling better, we're going to retake those blood pressure readings and we're going to stick that in your file because, you know, it's good to kind of record that and see, because even going to the dentist can be kind of stressful.
It can
you
be.
know?
And they do take it later, and I do
Mhm.
go down. I don't go down a lot, but if they take it, if I go in my car and I sit down and they take it in my car,
Mhm.
it'll be normal.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I left. Bye.
And so, again, just like what you said, you go in, you don't have a good experience, and then it gets processed into the plan, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing I wanted to talk about is patient care. Really, like patient care. Nobody really wants to discuss it, but it's like whether you're not insured and you pay for the bill cash, or you are insured and the insurance company picks up the full tab, or you split the difference based on co-insurance, right? Or copay plus deductible. Why are we paying for bad service?
Exactly.
Why are we paying for it? And why are we
Yeah.
saying yes and thinking that it should be accepted because they wear a white coat? Or because admin staff is hired and we get checked in, and yet we get, okay, well, my insurance didn't go through, it must be inactive. If somebody actually called the insurance company, you would see that what they're saying to you is wrong and not factual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are they
They're
trying
just
to get
trying
you
to double
worked up?
bill you.
Right?
Double
So
billing.
again, even on admin staff side, from medical
Mhm.
billing, you go to discuss a bill and it's a very intimidating phone call. They bully you. Oh, I've been a part of those calls before. It's quite
Oh yeah.
interesting to see how people work,
Oh,
right?
I got
And to
one I
see how
gotta
the
do.
system is ran.
I gotta do one tomorrow because I already called my insurance company and they said we paid that bill. I was like, you paid that bill? I said, they said, yes, we paid that bill. And I don't know what they're doing, but that bill is paid. And I'm like, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Right.
We're gonna have that
Right.
call. We're gonna have that call. We're gonna have that call. So yeah, no, you gotta double check. You gotta double check. You gotta double check. This has been such an amazing conversation. I mean, we can get into it, we can keep going. But the bottom line is you got to be proactive. What do you suggest to people with insurance that they don't like or they have to have or they're in office or they're in, you know what I mean? All this other stuff. What do you say?
Well, here's what I always say. There is always opportunity to go shopping, to compare, contrast different plans, right? And there may not be a perfect plan, because a lot of the health plans that we look at, are gapped. They have gaps in them, right? And there's a bunch of holes in the policies, but there's a perfect plan for somebody. It may not be, again, we all want a perfect plan where we have nothing to pay out of pocket, low co-pays, the world, right? Flexible network. But sometimes, if you're educated about actual insurance and about your health, and there's strategize and ways, to navigate through the medical system, well, then if that's all you need, plus you focus more on health along the way, like I said, if the medical system isn't as expensive as it is, we wouldn't need insurance, because that's the
Yeah.
real reason why we get insurance, is to protect our piggy bank from the medical system. Let's be real. And to help us with our health. So
Yeah.
like I always say, there's not a perfect plan, but there is a plan for somebody, and there isn't an advocate that can be in your back pocket, like myself, that can help you navigate the system that we live in, and I wish that I could get out there and reach a lot more people, where I could just give them one or two tips and that could help, solve some of the problems. But that's going to be my goal, is to get to more people, to just educate and just keep spreading the light.
We got to do that. And we need you to do that. We need more people like you. We definitely need more people like you to help people like us who don't understand what we're getting ourselves into, and also there's just one more thing I have to say. As a person who, my husband had a job, he's no longer employed with this company, but he had a job where they offered to have him in their plan. And I opted out because I saw that it would be locked in for 12 months. and they will be taking a lot of money out of his paycheck. I opted out of that, and I opted to do our own through the marketplace. And so that was then. This has been a couple of years, but that was then. But literally, people can opt out. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yes, they're month-to-month plans. They're not contract policies, right? So, you can, again, as your situation changes, and a new opportunity comes, you can have the peace of mind that you can cancel your policy anytime, because you're not locked into a contract. With an employer plan, you're locked in, and, HR departments, they don't want to spend the time to take you out of their coverage. Okay. And that's a different conversation, but the tax for employers now of having to keep people in their plans has been, abolished since 2019. And think about that. We still have employers operating from a law that no longer exists anymore, since 2019, that are still forcing people to take their policies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told my husband, no, you're not taking that plan. And they kept sending me paperwork. No, he's not taking that plan. He already has a plan. Thank you.
Exactly.
You can refuse it. You can definitely refuse it. I want to thank you so much. Is there anything we missed today that you would like to make known to the people who are listening?
Yes, actually. Sometimes, when, you're working with an agent or you're working with a health broker, there's more than one person you can go to. But us as agents, our job and mission is, to do right by the client, to educate you, guide you about insurance, help you with claims, help you navigate, what you need. And aside from that not being done, most cases, there are people like me out there that can and that will go the extra mile for you. That will go out there, take the time to educate you on the medical system, that will take the time to work with you on claims and offer, any advice that I can, from linking you with doctors, whatever I got to do, because the end result is about you, not me. And if we operate on a relationship standpoint versus a what's in your pocket standpoint, well, that makes relationship building and patient care handling and, helping other people every day, which is the mission of hope, so much worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about caring about the person's health. I wish you nothing but the best health. That is what I'm thinking. That's the way it should be. Unfortunately, we have to find people like you to make sure that we are getting that.
Because through great health, think about it. Through great health, you can be successful, you can level up, you can have a lifestyle that you didn't think about, and you can see and help other people through your experiences. And guess what? It takes a tribe to help others. And it takes a tribe to spread the light. And it takes a tribe to get out there and really do the mission of helping other people every day in some small way. And think about that. Think about if we were all successful and we all weren't broke because we lived in a system that wasn't crippling us, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I can envision that. I hope one day that we reach that plateau. That would be amazing. That everyone had what they needed and that we could help everyone else that didn't. It'd be amazing. That would be amazing. That would be the day. That would be the day that I would be like, I'm proud to be living.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's reality, our natural state is to be healthy, right? Our natural state. We are not meant to be broke. We are not meant to be sick. We are meant to, make a difference, change lives. And we're really meant to, go through the process of, being abundant. And what we're living in right now is the opposite of what we were created to be.
Yes.
And I believe that.
Wow. We've been talking so long, but I mean, this is such a big topic. Health is a big topic. How can people reach you, and can they reach out to you no matter where they are in the United States?
Absolutely. So I have an Instagram page. It is cat_the health wizard. And in my there's more than one way to contact me outside of DM. There's my phone number as well as a direct booking link. Yes.
So we're going to have all of that information in the description box below so that it'll be easy for you guys to reach Kat. You know, there's just certain things that we need to aspire for, and health is just one of the main things. I mean, when you have health, you have longevity, you have you have a better life quality. You can have a better relationship with your partners, you know, and you can have a better relationship with your children, and your family can live a long life. And food doesn't have to be poisonous. It can be an enjoyable moment for everyone. It takes time to get off of these poisonous foods, but we can do it. And I think that Kat really has a great mission. And so I applaud you, Kat, for being on the show and for coming on and telling us about your mission, and also advising us that if we did get healthy, we as the people could put the system on its knees. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different, and don't forget to contact Kat if you need her. And until next time, guys, bye.